In the 90s, Playmates Toys made the deepest line of Star Trek action figures in history. My name's Keith, and I'm a collector working towards owning all 284. I've been a Trek fan for almost 35 years, and most people are sick of me talking about it. But somehow I've convinced my old friend Mike to review them with me on Look at My Star Trek Toys! What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Look at My Star Trek Toys. And boy, do we have an episode for you here today. Today, we are unveiling the holy grails of Star Trek action figures. And you're thinking, oh, you mean like a Picard 1701, or maybe it's the Redemption Data? No, don't be weird. It's the true holy grails of action figures.
Have you watched this show? What's it really about?
What's it really about?
But what's it really about?
Yeah, no. The holy grails are figures of your two dummy co-hosts. Me and Mike have actual, real, customized action figures. Could not be more excited. We not only are going to reveal these to you, we are going to reveal the creator and have a live interview here with the creator of our custom action figures, our good friend Chris Mitchell at CRM Customs. But you know what? Before you get to see Chris, you're going to have to wait because Mike's going to beg for money first.
Oh, that's true, folks. You know, much like Chris, who does this as a hobby, he still likes to get paid for it on occasion. And so do we.
Yeah.
So we would like to welcome you to join our Patreon at patreon.com/K&M. That's my initial. And if you would do that, you would join the esteemed likes of Alan Zimmerman, Jorge Navoa, Cloudlover69, Brian Kaufman, Casey Clark, and Anne.
Anne
may or may not have a last name. We're working on it. She's our
Anne
newest.
definitely has a last name. She has not confirmed for me that she would like to be publicly associated with us. And if nothing else, we do protect your anonymity, being fans of our nonsense. So, yeah, we've got all sorts of fun stuff up there. We've got bonus episodes, watch-alongs. You can watch Mike watch Deep Space Nine, and some AMAs and all sorts of fun stuff. So check it out if you care to. Patreon.com.
Yeah, if you're a patron, you're watching this 2 full weeks early. And
I think that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're just on the plebeian feeds on YouTube, you could have been reveling in this for half a month. But,
wow. I mean, and boy, would your life be different. Well. All right. Well, I am so excited about this episode, and we are going to reveal our customized figures, but we have some really cool stuff to talk about before we do that, because we're going to tease for the end because of broadcasting. But we are going to introduce our new good friend, the creator of Custom Us's, and one of the most talented, I was going to say talented custom figures creators, but I'm just talented artists I've ever known or ever met. Our good friend Chris Mitchell, beaming in from Scotland. Welcome to the show.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm excited. I'm excited to talk to you, and thank you so much for coming on the show, and thank you so much for so generously doing all of this for us. We featured your work many times on the show before. And I know I have a million questions, and I know plenty of other people are going to have a million questions on how do you do what you do, because it's really extraordinary work. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about how you got into Star Trek, how you got into figures. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, basically, it's rather interesting because it was the figures that really got me into Star Trek. So
Really?
I think, yeah, show my age here, but I think it was 1992, 93, the original Playmates ones came out. So there was a shop in where I live, Stirling in Scotland. And at the time, it's shut down now, but it was called Woolworths. So maybe some of the UK people.
We had a Woolworths.
Yeah, we have Woolworths. Yeah, oh sure, yeah. Department store.
So I can remember, I always knew my dad watched it in the background, but I could remember people sitting in front of this massive window, and I could just never make sense of it. And it was obviously the next generation. I was like, what is that? My dad's watching. But I remember seeing these figures in Woolworths. This is around the time, I was just finishing up with the Ninja Turtles and getting grown out of that stage. So I was like, oh, those are cool. So I can remember buying Worf, Data, and Deanna Troy.
Sure.
And every night in our house, it was home from school. My dad would make her dinner, and at 5 p.m. on Sky One, it was Star Trek: The Next Generation. So we just started watching it. And I think because I got these figures, it just made me more interested in the show. And from there, I got hooked in collecting them right through the 90s. And that's really how I got into Star Trek. And then I think by the time Voyager started, I was a full-blown fan.
Well, let me ask you, because I'm sort of retroactively the same way. It was through this show with Keith that I decided that I should start watching it. So I'm jumping in a little differently. I'm jumping in with Deep Space Nine, but I would never think I would never think to make the leap. Like, I've collected various other action figures, but never thought to myself, hey, let me create my own or customize my own. So were you an artist on the side as well, and then you decided to marry your passions, or is this something that you like, there was a figure you were missing, and so you decided to kind of do it yourself, or how did you get into the custom universe?
I think it was at 99, well, kind of 2000 for me, the line ended, the original line, and there were so many. And I think as the older I got, because I think when I was younger, I found Deep Space Nine kind of hard to get into at first, and it's since become my favourite of all the Star Treks. And I got older, and I can remember, we never had an Ezri Dax or a Martok or a female changeling or any of these other characters. And I've always grown up. I went to art college, and I'd done a wee bit of sculpture, I'd done a wee bit of graphic design. And I just remember going to the hobby shop and like buying, it was milliput, or it's like a type of clay that you mix. And I just started like sculpting the figures that I didn't have. And if you could see some of those early ones, they were complete disasters. Really, really, really awful. And I'd done it over the years just in my spare time, and Star Trek never really left me. And I think my interest in the figures never really left me. And when technology sort of advanced over the years, and I've done a lot of tutorials for painting and stuff, but during lockdown, I'm through my work and stuff, my everyday 9 to 5 job, we've got things called maker spaces, and there's a lot of 3D printing technology. And during lockdown, I wanted to get up to speed with how this stuff worked, and went on YouTube, lots of great tutorials, and ended up buying my own resin printer, and I downloaded a sculpting app called Nomad. And I just started playing around with it, and I was like, I'm going to start customizing these, with printing them. And then when I got the elegoo Mars, the quality in these prints was absolutely amazing, because before I was always put off because you'd see all these like really, really fine lines.
Right, sure.
And when I got the resin printer, I was like, oh my God, the quality is absolutely fantastic. So it was just trying to like practice how that would work with creating these digitally and sculpting them digitally rather than by hand. And it lets you really, really, really go in with the detail, but they're still sculpted. When you get your iPad, it's still like a lump of digital clay you've got to put together.
Really?
Yep. So you can use templates, so you can get like a head template or like a body standing like this
Right.
template, and you could just sculpt on top of it.
So you mentioned, I think before, that you have already started working with some toy companies, yes? So you actually do this like for realsies as a living.
Yeah. So obviously creating the social media pages and just posting, whatever I've been working on at the time. I just started emailing out during lockdown and stuff, to see if there's anybody looking for commissions and stuff. And I've done a wee bit of work for, I don't know if you've heard of Migo.
Of course.
Yeah,
That's a
they
huge company.
They have a Star Trek license at the minute, but I have been working on a few really, really cool stuff, but I've signed an NDA, so I can't talk about it.
Oh no! Well, suffice to say, yeah, this little company. Have you heard of it, Mego? Yeah, we've heard of it. It's actually kind of a very big deal that you just sort of very like casually just slid in there. But so yeah, that's.
Well, I think that goes to a point, and I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent because we have things to talk about. But to those watching who maybe aren't men of a certain age, maybe are younger, or who come across this because of the algorithm, what Keith and I talk about a lot, Chris, is when we were growing up, things were sort of dictated for you people told you, here are the like 5 jobs you can do. So you go to college and you pick one of these 5 jobs and you do it. And the world has changed now. And I think what Chris demonstrates is that if you've got a hobby or a passion and a little bit of spare time, he used the resources that were available to him through his job, these creator spaces, and he sort of leveraged himself into a path that he wanted to go down. And it's not
Yeah.
always easy, but there is opportunity out there if you've got a little bit of ingenuity and drive. So I think it's
Well,
a great,
Yeah.
great
And now you
example.
work for Mego. It's sort of
Yeah.
like, yes, as
Yeah.
I'm out throwing a football in the backyard, and they're like, no, I play for the Giants. That's great. That's
Yeah.
no, it's
Yeah, I've done
tremendously
some nice stuff for them. Good company. Very
very
long-running
cool.
company. Yeah.
Well, when you can finally talk about it, you're gonna have to come back and show what you've
definitely.
done,
Yeah,
because
definitely.
I'm sure folks here will be very excited to see that. All right, so I have so many more questions about the process of how you do this, but let's do that by looking at a couple of your figures. So, when you mailed ours, and coming up later in this episode, the reveal of figures of Mike and I. But first, we've talked a little bit about your background. I'm super curious to know more about how you actually do this, but why don't we do that by walking through some of the figures that you so generously sent me? Starting off, this is such a cool figure. Let's check out your version of the Borg Queen.
Yes.
So this is 6-inch scale, yes?
Yep, she is.
All right. So this is astounding work. So so you start digitally, right? You start with a digital form that you basically build this on. You know what? Why don't I stop at? I want to just let you talk about how you just the digital side of creating this Borg Queen.
Okay, so for the Borg Queen, you would have use like a sculpting template. So you've got like a blank head, blank body, and as many reference pictures as you can find. One of them was the one on the screen, and my favourite Borg Queen was always Alice Krieger. So
Of course,
uh,
the original.
the original. So I just started sculpting her digitally. That's actually the first attempt, the one I sent you, the 6-inch version. There's a couple of different ones. I think I've got the 4.5-inch, where I've made some changes.
Oh, it's cool.
You kind of see.
Oh, look at that. We got our own toy cam too.
Oh,
Look
yeah,
at
that's
that.
cool. Yeah, real
So
cool.
I just went back and fixed her cheekbones and stuff,
Oh,
because I felt the first version didn't look really.
well, you can totally see Alice's very high cheekbones in
Mhm.
that.
Yeah. But basically, it's the easy part is, believe it or not, the sculpting. It's the sort of tooling part that becomes more and more difficult. So it's like these figures. I can break this up. When you put them together to make them articulated, obviously I've still not been able to do that articulated at the arms or the legs, but you can see here. I'm trying to do this without breaking.
Oh, well,
Yep. So you would start off with like a head. There she is with her head.
wow.
You can see it.
Yeah, there it is.
You can see it.
Oh,
So it's similar to the Playmate style with the neck post.
yeah.
So these are the parts that's like mega complicated, but when you do the torso, you've got to like split them up, and you'll see the inside. So I sort of thought about Lego. You know how Lego things can just
Right,
clip
sure.
together. So I used Lego as the inspiration for it. Just sort of you see them.
So
clipping
you
together.
design how these fit together yourself.
Yeah.
This isn't like a template. That's so cool. Later we're going to assemble a Worf live on Toy Cam.
Oh.
Cool. Yeah, so you see the legs. Legs are. I tried to keep it as similar to the Playmate style as possible. With the original sort of corners
Yeah.
and stuff. So these all just get put into place. If I'm doing this the right way,
Wow.
and you just build it back up.
So
See
that
that?
demonstrates what you were saying before. It's not just one mold you print. You're printing different little pieces and then having to assemble.
Yeah, so these would all come out in the printer, and that way you can like move the legs, move the head.
And clearly you have an art background. Do you have an engineering background as well to
No,
make all this stuff?
No,
fit?
so this is the problem for me when it comes to sort of technical stuff. I can draw pictures and sculpt stuff, but the technical stuff I'm not so good at. So I used the YouTube tutorials, and there's things that you can learn about called keying, and it's
Mhm.
about you can use sculpt with the shapes, and then you could use a tool to sort of embed this in so that it creates the spaces to make it movable. But the problem with some of the resins is you can buy cheaper resins, and it means that you can print them in just standard resin. But sometimes when you move the arms or the head, it's like really really brittle, and it can just crack.
Mm.
So especially when I'm doing commissions, I try and buy the more expensive resin. It's like £65. I don't know what that is in dollars.
Oh, that's a lot.
For a tub. So it makes it so that you can use the figure and it's a wee bit more rigid. I mean, they are still quite fragile 3D prints because of what they are. They're not like standard Playmates ones where you could throw them off the wall and they would bounce back at you.
Right.
But
Well, it's made out of plastic.
I think the detail and the quality that the print can capture is amazing.
So you know what? Actually, since you've just been talking about articulating it, let's put together the Worf, and just because I'm really I've been saving this. We got this package like a month ago, more than that, and I've been like I've barely even taken it out of the plastic. So Mike, let's go to Toy Cam and let's see how horribly I can mess up putting together Worf.
This was actually the first version of Worf as well that I kind of worked on.
Interesting. Okay, so we have. Let me move my microphone. So we have torso, arm, leg, head. So what do you recommend we put together first, or is it sort of all together at the same time?
It should all just click together.
Okay.
So
head.
the head can sometimes be a tight fit. It just depends on the style of the hair and stuff.
No, that looks great. And then left arm. God, I'm like nervous. I'm sweating.
It's fine. I can print more.
Okay, leg. Wow, it's so remarkably simple, despite how complex all this is. I mean, it's elegant. Look at that. I thought that was gonna take like 10 minutes.
I think you've got him back to front though. I think the sash should be another thing.
I 100% do.
Oh yeah, well done, Keith. And you know what? I think you keep it in that state. I
No,
think that is the best, the best perfect example of our show.
There it is,
maybe
folks.
a transporter mistake.
Yeah, look at this amazing artistry and technical prowess to accomplish this.
Amazing.
Oh, man, this is why I'm a composer, and it's like when you write like the perfect song and then you hand it out into the world. I'm like, oh no, that's not how that's supposed to go at all. So there's plenty of on YouTube you can find my art mangled, and I'm glad that we can now mangle yours on YouTube.
Oh, I'll have to check it out.
That is hilarious. Oh my god.
You were nearly there. It was just the arms and the head.
Yeah,
The legs as well.
I was so close. I mean, it's anatomically not great. All right. Well, there you go. Is that better? Oh, that's just upsetting.
So
all right.
I think it's the just even try just swapping the arms around and then the legs and then the head.
Yeah, I just need to. I don't dare. Here, I'll I will. I want to do that carefully. We'll do that. We'll do it off air because I don't want to scratch the paint. 'Cause that's going to be my next question. But before we talk about the paint, why don't we look at our next figure? You also sent a Tuvok.
Yep.
For us to look at, and again in the 6-inch scale. All right, so here's my next question, because this is the part that really, I mean, all of it sort of confuses and astounds me. But how do you paint these?
They're painted with, have you probably heard of Warhammer? You get that over there, don't you? It's like Warhammer.
It's a video game, yeah.
No, well, yeah, it's a video game, but it's like miniatures. These wee miniatures.
Oh, I guess, yeah, I do remember that.
Yes, like the D&D pieces. Yeah.
Yeah, they've got paints, and I think it's like called Citadel, And then there's a Spanish, God, I can't remember the name of them, but it's a Spanish line of paints called Viello or Vigello or something like that. And I just get them off Amazon, so they're really, really good model paints, good quality acrylics, and get them 40 next month. So it's my eyes are starting to go. So I've got to use ages ago. I've never used it, but it's like this headset with a big
Oh, no.
magnifier.
Oh,
so
sure.
really, really go in and see the detail. So I use that to paint it. But
Wait,
honestly,
so
it's
you do
just
this by
practice.
hand?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, Keith thought it was like
Yeah.
an airbrush situation.
I thought it would have to be,
No,
or like
it's all-
or digitally done.
No, hand, really, really fine paintbrushes, different scales, but by hand and
Holy
these mega
shit.
magnified glasses,
Wow.
which helps.
Wow.
But once I've painted them, once I'm happy with the paintwork, especially for commissions as well, I seal it in a polyurethane resin,
Mhm.
so that kind of protects it from UV light, and scratches, But
Wow. All right. Well, yeah, color me surprised. I would never have thought you were able to do that by hand. Wow. Cool.
honestly, it's practice as well. I've been doing it quite a while, so
Yeah. Well,
I
I
can show
mean,
you some of the earlier stuff.
what happens when you're a professional? But yeah, wow, that is. I mean, like the shading and the detail work on the eyes and the hand, like it's extraordinary work.
Yeah,
Wow.
to be, it's hard to adjudicate or qualify any of this, but I think I've said it in previous episodes, Chris, and I'll give you the compliment to your face. It's all well and good to say, oh well, it's a 3D printed figure, so yeah, the likeness is really spot on. But the truth of the matter is these don't come to life until these paint jobs. I really find the paint work you do to be really astounding, and it's what brings the molds to life. It's what translates. It's really what separates from a toy to an actual piece of art, I think.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and these are, we've said it many times before. Like this is such an elevated version of the toys that we know and love.
Yeah.
It really is. It's the chef version of the meal that we really enjoy.
Yeah.
And
It is a very, when you're painting these figures, one like Tuvok wouldn't take as long as, say, for example, if you were painting, Quark,
Right.
with these really, really flamboyant costumes and stuff. So he would, to talk about maybe like an hour or two to a couple of hours to really, really
Oh,
get them
at
the
least.
detail in. Yeah.
Well, in fact, that's such a good segue because let's go to one of the more difficult ones that you have done because you sent me a Saru. So we are going. Now I'm doing this on Toy Cam because I was too afraid to put Saru on the turntable and spin him around.
I have to use blue tack.
Yes, well, I should, but here. Hold on. Let me just aim it correctly at the camera. Look at that.
Yeah.
My goodness. And this is in the 4.5-inch scale, but of course Saru is super tall. So he is appropriately scaled. Now, do you have to do a lot of math trying to figure out exactly how tall everybody is and in proportion?
Yeah, I've just you've got like the promo pictures from the show and stuff that you just go by that. Sometimes I make them too short, or sometimes like a couple of Ferengis I've done, I've probably made them too tall just because of the templates I've used. But Saru definitely had to get blown up a wee bit.
Look at the eye coloring. Jeez.
Oh, and this is why he can't stand up. Those amazing feet. And again, look at the detail on all of that, on the sculpt and the paint. And Saru, like, you really can't reuse much of anything with your 3D modeling with Saru because it's completely unique, yeah?
Yeah.
I mean,
he was one of the first I tried when I was doing the digital sculpting. I just wanted to, try something quite difficult when you see the
would
detail.
say so. Wow. I mean, look at the ears and the paint and the layering of and the shading in each and every one of those little nook. Oh, come on, Keith. There it is. Hold still. Come on, phone. You can do it.
It was quite nice as well because Doug Jones actually commented on it and told me it was amazing work, which was nice.
Oh, did it? Did he really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
well, I mean, if I'm Doug Jones, I'm sure as heck gonna commission one of these.
Yeah,
there's
we
a
had
new
talked
one
about that,
coming.
right, Keith? Yeah.
There's a new one coming. Playmates is bringing this one back.
Oh, I know, but this is gonna be. I mean, I'm super excited about the Playmates toys, and I'm a Playmate shill. You know, that's part of what we do here on this. But he's gonna want this one.
Oops.
It's such good work. I also really like those Discovery uniforms. The next thing we're gonna do is show what Keith and Mike's favorite uniforms are, because not only did Chris sculpt us, he let us choose which uniform we wanted to wear. So I think we should allow everyone to finally see the holy grails of all of Star Trek action figures. And forget it. This is it. So let us, with no further ado, Mike INDEGLIO, Starfleet Captain
Special edition number 0001
of 0001. This is so rare. There it is with this reference photo.
Oh, yeah.
Mike INDEGLIO as a next generation era Starfleet captain.
Look at how handsome I can be.
Oh my god, I was
The hair flip
excited.
The hair flip is intact.
So the way we did this, filling in the audience, Chris, you already know how you did it. You asked us for reference photos of ourselves, sort of straight on, and then from either side, so you could get the facial sculpt to look so astoundingly good. And then you took those reference photos and put it into your software and created this.
It would have been easy. It would have been easier if I could actually just put it into the software, but actually I just had to sit it on my phone and just look at my phone with the pictures of you guys, and then sculpt. I wish I could import it into the software.
Oh well, yeah, no, right? That would be. Well, let me ask you. So in this case, you're just doing the head because the body sculpt is there. How long did it take you from we send you the pictures of our heads to sculpt just the digital sculpt part?
Well, it kind of goes. When I'm doing commissions, it's usually I do like sort of the first draft sculpt, and then you would just give me the sort of the thumbs up if you're happy with it, or you would come back and say, could you change this or make this smaller or bigger or whatever. But usually maybe 4 hours max to do a first draft.
Wow.
Until that, because I'm my own worst critic. I'm never really happy. Even when I'm finished doing them, I'm always saying, "Oh, I could have done this better or done that better." But
but you don't get work this good unless you're a perfectionist.
yeah,
it just flat out that's you're an artist. That's how we're all sort of in the arts in various ways, and you have to be you have to do that. I mean, and that's a tremendous amount of time to spend on these sculpts. It really is, and it's just like whatever you're charging, it's not enough for the talent. And actually, speaking of charging people, if folks wanted to commission a figure, how would they do that?
Just private message me through my Instagram channels. I've got Facebook as well. I was Star Trek Customs, but it's now CRM Customs. But if you just search that on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, just private message me and we can take it from there.
Check it out at CRM Customs. And we can cut the question if you don't like it. But if other people wanted customs of themselves, would you be up to doing that?
Yeah, and I have done other people before as well.
See, now that's super cool. So folks, it's the perfect gift for the Star Trek nerd in your family. It's a great birthday present, could be an anniversary present. You want cake toppers. I mean, you've got lots of different options.
And different scales as well. I've done scales from, I don't know if I've got some here, 2 seconds. Here's a card. So this is 3.75 inch scale.
Oh, no kidding. Like the Galoobs, yeah?
Yeah, Glib's Star Wars, vintage Star Wars scale, so you can see
Oh, cool.
Oh, wow.
tiny. He's absolutely tiny. And then that same character can
Tiny Picard.
find him wherever they are. Sorry, I should have had these organized for you.
Oh, how
all right.
dare you? This is a
So
professional
there you can
show.
see there's the 6-inch version.
Wow. So folks out there in the internets, you can have yourself in whatever uniform you want, in whatever scale you want. I mean, come on. Like how like and look, anybody watching this is an action figure person.
Yeah.
And anybody watching this, you know what? Perhaps it's only the narcissists who run this show. But anytime I see an action figure, I'm like, I want one of me.
You know, Keith, it just so happens we have one of you.
Do we?
We do.
Oh,
and as much as I
my-
like looking at my amazingly chiseled face rotating slowly, I think it only fair I give you the same honor.
Oh, please, let's do it. Let's see.
Figure 0002 of a very, very exclusive line. Here's Keith Varney as...
Yes. There
Yeah.
I am. Man, of course I chose the First Contact Deep Space Nine era uniform because that's my jam. Now, I have to say this right from the very start. I very much appreciate how slimming this this uniform is.
You know what they
And,
say, black paint, very slimming.
Black paint, very slimming, very slimming. So, but my God, I was so excited to see this. It's amazing. It looks like a much better looking version of me.
Ah!
It is unbelievable. And we did both of these in the 4.5-inch scale, so they would match. Because if you think it's not going up on the shelf with all the other ones right behind me, as you can see in the background of that video there, it's definitely going there. It's unbelievable. Look how good that is. It's, once again, hand painted. Each of those stripes and the stubble and all of it. You sent this to me, and I have literally texted or showed this to every person I've ever known.
Oh.
And they're like, "Oh, you're weird, but cool."
Yeah.
but the figure is absolutely fantastic, and it's going to be incorporated into all of our graphics from now on. But
Yep.
I've had to
Brilliant.
not use them because of spoilers. But now that we've done this, I can show it. So
Cool. And
yeah.
it can be done in any scale as well, obviously. 4.5 is the main Playmate scale, but if you wanted a 3.75 or 6-inch or 7-inch, that's the benefit of doing things digitally as well. You could just
yeah.
mix
Now,
and match.
what's the max size you can blow Keith up to?
Well, my elegoo Mars, I've
I've never
got
found
elegoo
the
Mars.
max size I can blow myself up to. I keep going.
I mean, what's the biggest one I've done? Worked on people? Probably the 9-inch scale.
Oh my God.
A 9-inch. So there's a 9-inch Planetora's head.
Oh, wow.
Oh wow.
So
Now, if you-
obviously, and then she would just click into because they're the doll size ones. I don't collect those ones, but
Yeah.
a few people have ordered those ones.
Wow.
Wow, that's
And so-
enormous.
Now that you've sculpted these, right? If people want one of your Martoks or whatever, you can just print it. All you have to do is print
Yeah.
and paint. Yeah.
Yep. And it's
So-
cheaper. It works out cheaper if somebody's ordering a pre-sculpted figure. It works out cheaper because they don't have to obviously pay for the hours of work to sculpt it.
Yeah. Well, which is great. I mean, and I think you can. Yeah. So now, what would be your capacity? Like, how many orders could you take before you're like, that's too much?
Yeah, I usually don't go any more than like four or 5 max.
Yeah.
It's just because I've got a normal regular job as well, and it's
Don't
trying
we
to
all?
squeeze everything in. So yeah, I wouldn't say any more than that, just because I try and say, like, when people make orders, I try and get it done within the 2-week period before post it out to them. But sometimes it just depends what's involved.
I mean,
And the
turning
amount of
these
work.
things around in 2 weeks is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, it should be like 6 weeks, 8 weeks. Give yourself some time.
Yeah.
'Cause
I've
that's-
asked for my 40th birthday. I've asked for a larger 3D printer as well, so that I could maybe get more on the go.
Oh, well, happy
Which is
early
good.
birthday.
Fingers crossed. As I say, it's mainly just a hobby, you know. And if I can help somebody get the figure that they've always wanted and never been able to get, that's just a bonus.
Do you find yourself now? I'm not as well versed in this, so I'll let Keith lead this conversation maybe. But do you find yourself? Have you had people write to you to try to recreate some of the really rare figures?
Oh, like the 1701s or the red data. Yeah, I mean, I imagine it's probably easier to just customize. I mean, to just go back to the original Playmates and do
Yeah.
a torso swap. But
No, it's mainly been like Ezra Dax or Martok or, you know, the 90s ones, so Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Next Gen, or original series figures as well. And random aliens, you know,
Yeah.
I've done the Uridian from Deep Space, Birthright.
yeah,
So that was a popular one.
interesting.
And
Yeah,
just random, there was a guy messaging me for 3.75 inch scale for just random background characters from the original series movies.
It's amazing the interest in like extras.
Yep.
You know, but you know, you go into this ecosystem and everything is interesting. Everything's a part of it, and everything is.
Yeah. And it's not just Star Trek. You know, I've done Galaxy Quest and
Sure.
what's the other one with Seth MacFarlane, the Orville?
Or the Orville,
The Orville,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, I've done that. I've done Sigourney Weaver from Aliens.
Of course.
And you maybe recognise these ones. They're not painted yet. See if you can
Oh wow, Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Wow. So
That's,
so you're not limited to Star Trek. You can do
No,
pretty much any
no.
of these things.
yeah.
Which makes more sense that you changed your handle to CRM Customs, not Retro
Yeah.
Star Trek Customs. Folks, Instagram at CRM Customs. send a private message and commission literally anything of your dreams, which is you know, get your holy grail. And that's, you know, and that is the coolest part of all of this, is that people can literally order their holy grail, whether they're a narcissist like me and they just want themselves, or it's some obscure figure, or whatever it is, or your mom, whatever. Like it's really that's you're providing something that is so unique that is just not available to people.
Well, you know, Keith, you have a friend who had a figure done, and it was a completely different experience, right? It was like a full 3D modeling scenario. They had to go to a studio and kind of thing. So this is really interesting that you're able to pull it off without having to go through that ordeal.
That's
Yeah.
right, without getting 3D scanned. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You know what, before we go too far, we've got a bunch of pictures here of the work in progress
Oh, yeah.
that I'd love to just show you and have you talk through. All right, so we're just going to show you some pictures, and instead of me asking stupid questions, why don't you just tell me what we're looking at for each of these pictures?
Okay, so this is the Novastan resin, 3D printing resin that I got from Amazon. It's quite a good one. It's quite rigid, and I would have mixed that up with another. I can't remember the name of it. Tenacious. It's a tenacious resin as well, so that gets mixed into the vat tank that you see just behind there, and it just gets poured into there before getting placed into the 3D printer.
So, Mike, yeah, so this is
So
one
that's
of
a
the,
digital file that would get printed. Yeah.
and you sent us this for the thumbs up, as if we were going to say thumbs down to that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the sort of digital reviews. Obviously, when they do get printed, they come out in separate parts.
Right. So you can sort of see it assembled or separate pieces in
Yeah.
that. That's neat. It's able to fit itself in together.
Mhm.
And there is a bunch of what you're working. I see some Nogs. I see Borg.
That was Taurus Borg, Nog, Jamie Borg,
Oh, cool.
Ezra Dax, Shelby, Ogawa.
Shelby, yeah. Nurse Lookout. Right. So cool.
That Pre-painted, obviously.
Obviously, yeah. But they're really kind of cool right there. All right, so here,
So this
what are
is
you
after
doing
they've
here?
been this is after they've been printed and cured. So because when you're 3D printing, you need to put in supports for overhangs and things like that. So this is me smoothing down the wee sort of rougher edges where the supports were, and then they'll
Really
get cleaned. Yeah, so they get cleaned in a isopropyl alcohol as well to take all that off and clean it up. So to
There
make
are
sure it's
so many steps in your process to
yeah,
do
and this is
this.
just to make sure that all the parts fit without cracking or snapping or.
Now, in the torsos, you ideally want the front going in the front and the back going in the back and not reversed.
Yeah. Just like that. And then people can have the option as well, if they want to get their hands glued in or their torso, because some people maybe like it to be separate. So I try and make it like Lego so that you can maybe be in a customizer, mix and match heads and things like that.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So, but most people just want it glued because it's going on the shelf for display.
Right.
So
Yeah,
what
I'm
about
not
the
gonna
paint
do-
job? How long does the paint job take?
Yeah, again, that can be anywhere for maybe. See, with the black, you're just talking about blocking in colour, but because with the faces and the heads, you build it up in layers. So you're putting in the sort of deeper skin colours first, and then you build it up until you're got happy with the skin colour, and then you add in the paintwork for the eyes and the eyebrows.
Huh.
And I find as well, because there's a lot of figures that don't paint darkness under where the nostrils are, but I kind of paint them black and the same with the ears just to make it look a wee bit more realistic.
Oh, right.
That
God.
was Valaris from Star Trek 6. Kim Cattrall actually liked that one on Twitter,
Did she?
which was so
Yeah,
cool.
she did.
All right.
Yeah, I've had a few retweets and a few comments and a few likes from the actual actors, which is always really cool.
I'm sure. I mean, I would be. I'm shocked that they don't all order one.
I think maybe they're coming. They're maybe coming because Playmates has got the license back. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so here's. There's the resin.
There's your resin before it goes into the printer. Yeah.
So
it gets sealed. It builds up in layers upside down, and it's a UV light that basically cures the resin, and the computer just tells it where to cure. It's absolutely fascinating.
That's crazy.
Originally, you will see that these did have glasses, but it was so fine when it was coming out. They were just breaking. I was like, oh man, I'm so sorry. You'll have to wear contacts, or by the 24th century, they're
Yeah,
good.
they got it. They just shine a laser beam in my eyes, and then you
Get some LASIK, you nerds. All right. Well, so here I'm going to ask, because we're definitely going to tag Playmates in this. So as soon as your super secret contract with Mego is done, if Varner Studios wanted to hire you, would you be up for that?
100%. I've actually messaged them to see if they would be interested, but they never replied. But I would love that. I would love that.
Oh, that's
All
because
right.
Chris, you haven't had the K&M bump yet.
That's
Yeah,
right.
no, that's what's going to sort me out.
Well, all right. Well, then when we post this, we're gonna tag Playmates and Varner. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
Because you should be working for them.
Imagine how cool would that be?
Well, I mean, you're already working for Mego. I mean, you're already in the world.
This is great. I'd love to take your job offer, Playmates, but unfortunately, there's these two podcasters who have just flooded me with custom work, and I
Who have
can't.
just I know, right?
It's just themselves in different uniforms, but
That's right.
oh, there's this. I don't know why these got all out of order, but
That there is the plate, the build plate. So yours would basically get made on the bottom of that, but it lifts up the way. So it's not like a filament printer where it builds from the top down. So
now, just because I don't really know much about this technology, and I know you're not a shill for 3D printer sales, but like, what are the consumer level 3D printers that you could go out and buy? What do they cost? What's like when we get into the entry level? Do you know?
yeah, well, that one there's. I mean, that was about £200 at the time, but you can get them like for 150 now.
it?
So I'm not sure what that would be in dollars, obviously, but
So that's
it depends on the size.
like $300.
'cause
Right.
that's quite a standard size one, but you can. Elegoo is my personal favourite. I think
So
the
that's
detail and
that's
quality.
about 200. So we're talking about $200 American to get in
So
entry level.
so
Yeah,
you were able to do that for 200 American? That's
yep.
crazy. I would have.
I'm assuming that we, but I don't know what it would be for. Even just going to Amazon and just type in
Yeah.
elegoo Mars, because you can get different ones, and they're always releasing new printers in different sizes.
If you
So
told me that cost you 10 grand, I would have been like, that makes sense.
yeah, yeah, no,
That's
because when I first, became interested in the 3D printing, there's no way I could afford one
right.
of the printers, and then you just go online, you're like, oh wow, they're actually quite reasonable, and the quality is amazing, but there's still so much because they are so new. I think we're really just at the beginning of learning
Yeah.
what these things could do and how far we could go with them. And you get your resins can come out in different colors, so you can get skin colors, you get black, you get any color really. But
That's
I'm hoping that they can go down the line of being more flexible and more plasticky, so that I
mm,
can articulate the joints more at at the knees and the elbows, so that
uh,
they can make figures that are properly articulated.
I'm sure we'll get there. I mean, this really feels like as close as we're going to get to a replicator, right?
Yeah.
That I mean, they're able to 3D print meat now. They're able to do all sorts. I mean, I think that is going to be in our lifetimes. We're going to be able to have
Yep.
that ability, and I've always marveled at how Star Trek is, for all the things that they get wildly wrong and are pretty silly, how close, like
Yeah.
these things that they imagine. I mean, like on Next Gen, inventing iPads.
I
I
know.
mean, it now they're just like carrying an iPad. They could conceive of an iPad, but they couldn't conceive that it could store more than one book. So each book is its own iPad. Whatever, we'll go with it. But like video conferencing, what we're doing right now. I mean, that this
Yeah.
is when they
Oh, I
started
would be
the show.
lost without my iPad Pro. I do all my digital art on there, all my sculpting work, everything I do on my iPad Pro,
Yeah,
which is
it's amazing, and here
and
we
it's
are.
affordable. It's affordable as well, and I think it is, the way forward if you are a customizer, if you can get into it and do it like that, which is cool.
Yeah, it's really exciting, and here you are, sort of on the forefront of this, showing everybody else what's possible right now, when it
Yeah,
it it seems so inconceivable.
I know.
Not to diverge the conversation, but I've seen some. So I have an Oculus Quest here, and I'm just kind of getting invested into kind of VR and whatnot. And I am not artistically inclined, sculpting or drawing or anything, but there are 3D sculpting apps within the Quest where people build these 3D digital models, but at full scale, at 1-to-1. So you
Yeah,
can go in and literally look at these 3D printed or 3D modeled or sculpted digital artifacts in 1-to-1. So you're literally walking through a gallery, and could look at your
well,
figures at full scale, like your Tuvok
hmm
full scale, and it's to say mind blowing is underselling it.
crazy.
Uh,
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
it's fun. I mean, that what's possible now is
Yeah,
just, and it's and all it's technology, so it's moving exponentially. Yeah, I mean,
cool.
it really is exciting. I think we live we live in very troubling times, but from a technological standpoint, we're living in very very exciting times, and that people of our age, right? Because we're right at the cusp of the people who grew up in an analog age and as adulthood are in the digital age, and
Yeah.
the coming in when we were kids. I don't know what about you, Chris, but like, we didn't even have a computer until I was like
Mhm.
10 at all, and we
Same.
and my
Same.
and we were well on the leading edge. And then now this the change in what's
Mhm.
possible,
I
and
know.
and this is where I think where we get back to artistry, right? And I think about this with music now, with GarageBand or whatever. You can make something sound professional on your laptop really easily without having to know very much. And there's this ability that everybody has a level playing field. Everybody can do these things that before were impossible, and now you have to circle back to creativity and artistry. It's like, all right, so everybody can make a great musical demo. Now you actually have to, if you want to rise above that, it's about your artistry. It's about what you create. It's about how well you compose. And it's the same thing here, right? Because soon everybody will be able to 3D print these things, no problem, and we get down to just flat out talent and hard work that can't be digitally replicated.
Yeah,
And
you still need to be able to sculpt them and design them and make them so.
And have the absurd amount of talent that you can see right here on the screen. So is there anything else? Is there anything we haven't asked you? Is there anything else that you'd like to say to the folks watching here?
I just think it's absolutely, because for a long time, I keep saying, I have this conversation with my friends. It's like we're the last generation that went out to play and actually used their imagination, instead of being hooked up to a computer.
Exactly.
And I think, our generation, I think we grew up with action figures and stuff like that. But I think for me, the interest in them just kind of changed in the sense that I was fascinated with how do you make these things? How do you paint them? And I think it's so cool to find that there's so many other people out there that are similar and, and have that love, not just for customizing, but for actually Star Trek and, the 90s Trek that we grew up on.
Yeah.
And I think I just love seeing other people doing this different customs and even like random background characters that you would never think about making. And I just think it's brilliant. I mean, my latest one just now that I'm working on is, I don't know if you can recognize this guy. He's from Voyager.
Oh, you're doing the from what the heck's it called? The robot guy. Yes? No.
Close. This is actually, remember the episode The Thaw, and there was the clown, Fear.
Oh, the clown. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, right, of course. We actually recorded an episode yesterday with a different custom clown from The Thaw.
Oh, really? There
Yeah.
you go. You'll see somebody's beat me to it.
Somebody did. Oh, and I was saying that is one of those episodes where the first time I saw it, I was like, that's nonsense. That's no good. And the more I watch it, I'm like, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
Michael McKean is terrifying in that episode.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what I try and do. I try and think try to see what else I've got there. But I think you may be thinking of that robot, the prototype.
Oh, yes. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Honestly, there's probably like 60 figures there that are just sitting waiting to get painted. But between doing commissions and doing my own work, I don't have the time. There's Ellen Ripley from Aliens.
Oh, cool.
My all-time favorite movie. Aliens. Yeah. That's wow. I mean, the trick is like, forget Playmates. You just need to get the license and mass produce because you have as deep a line as Playmates does now.
Yeah, I mean, the digital files have probably got well over 100 figures created, definitely from Voyager, Deep Space Nine. I've got all the Enterprise characters that were never made, the main cast, all the Xindi characters. Shran was just done this week. Where is he? I've just done him.
Oh, wow, cool. Yeah.
I thought would have been a problem with the antennae, but they've actually worked out okay.
Oh, it looks great. Yeah, we got to get you the license. You know what? Let's cut out the middleman. Let's just get you the license. Figure out how you can scale up, because you could like this. This is you've got a line. You don't need to join somebody else's line. You've got your own line.
Yeah.
Hey,
it's just purely a hobby. Just because I haven't got these figures in my own collection, it's like I want that figure, so I'm going to make it.
Everything's a hobby until it's not. Yeah. Facebook was a hobby until it wasn't.
Yeah, Patreon. Chris, do you have any thoughts that you care to share on? Have you seen the promo shots of the new line of some of the new Playmates figures coming out?
Yeah, I'm excited. I never ever thought in a million years that this would be happening. For a time there, I never thought Star Trek would probably be back. Never mind making the amount of shows that they're making now. I think it's brilliant, and if they can generate up enough interest again for them to make as many as they made in the 90s, that would be awesome.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It's gonna be cool, and I'm excited to kind of jump in now I have my own personal figure, which I think is the grail. But I'm now going to backfill and start collecting it from the top.
Yeah,
But if you're a customizer point of view, you're just looking at these things and you're like, whose head's can I swap? How can I?
Yeah, well, it's funny because that takes you back to what you were saying before about people of our generation actually playing with these things, and actually like taking them out into the sandbox and but for me it was my first customization was taking the screw out of the back of my GI Joes and creating super characters. It's one of the most grenades I could possibly have on a person. I don't know why I thought that was the coolest thing, but I did. But yeah, I mean the creativity I think is lacking sometimes. Like I miss the storytelling element of it. And whether you're creating a figure or whatever, there was storytelling in all of this. And just we showed your Tuvok's figure on one of our episodes and talking about the emotion you were able to get onto that figure's face. And like that's storytelling. And it's super, super exciting.
Just not for nothing, apropos of nothing, but my niece had a birthday party yesterday, and she got a couple of action figures of various lines, and she's a big Lego person too. And, as adults, it's often easy to think, oh, she got the thing, so now she has the thing. But what Keith and I have talked about a little bit is when we look at a lot of our old toys or talk about them at the very least, or even looking at the old pictures, Keith, of last week, I don't know if it showed on YouTube yet, but about, looking at that Voltron figure, it's the emotion, the nostalgia that it elicits. And it wasn't the figure that created that emotion originally. It was the play. And so I try to remind myself when I'm buying my nieces or my nephews and nieces toys that it's not just the thing, right? It's about the play that it comes with. So I want to be involved in the play as well, so that memory that's created is with me. And that's my my ego talking. But it's not just the thing, right? These are just pieces of plastic or resin that you're 3D printing, but what it's the feeling they elicit that is the kind of magic.
Pure nostalgia.
Yeah, well, and I think
that's probably why I focus more on the sort of 90s,
right? Because that's ours.
Because that's kind of my Star Trek.
Right.
No, that's our generation. I mean, that was for me. It was started watching Next Gen right from the very pilot, but I was only 7 years old at that time, and just like, and that was it. I mean but I was, and we're gonna let you go and move on with your life. But I was doing the same thing with my our one of my dear friends has a 4-year-old daughter, and I just went to go visit. So I grabbed a couple of the figures because I've just got a bunch of boxed extras or whatever. I just grabbed a couple and gave them to her, and she was so excited and was like playing with all the choking hazards. She's never seen Star Trek, has no idea who any of these people are. She's telling her own stories. With Worf and Troy, and like, great, and you have a special touchstone there, and all of our custom shows, there is this sense of wonder and nostalgia that comes from it, and we have people like you who do this truly professional artisanal work, and then you have more, you've creative, like, how am I going to make this work out of what I have in my house, and it's all fascinating and beautiful and creative and awesome. And that's the nice thing of Star Trek.
Yeah, because I think as well, Star Trek for some reason has never been as popular as Star Wars when it comes to like figures. When you think there's probably more Star Wars figures there is people in the world.
I think that's probably true.
But I don't know if just Star Trek, obviously Star Wars can appeal to kids probably a wee bit more than what Star Trek can, but I think, can you imagine getting the amount of figures from Star Trek that you do for Star Wars, how amazing that would be. I mean,
yeah.
And that's where you get us customizers just try to make the ones that...
Well, they're like crack. You can never get enough.
Yeah.
I mean, I started my Playmates collection, and I was just like, I just want like the Next Generation bridge cast in their typical, I'll put them up on a little shelf right there. It'll be like little like ironic nod to my childhood, and 300 and some odd later. I mean, it's I don't know. Once you have one, you kind of
I know.
Well, I gotta say, I really, truly, Keith, to toot our horn a minute, just kind of interacting with the customs we've seen and your toys virtually, the same dopamine rush and the same itch gets scratched. And so hopefully, for those of you out there on the interwebs that aren't maybe fiscally inclined to start a collection, we can kind of give you a little bit of that scratch and sniff feeling. So, like you said, the internet is truly terrible, but also magical.
Smells like
I think
the
this
90s.
is what I love about what you guys do, because yous are actually probably the first. I mean, there's other videos that you see on YouTube, and they're cool, they're fine, but this is probably the first that you really can look at it and watch and say, well, that's actually really professionally made, and it's showcasing all these figures for way back that you just we never had an internet back then when these figures were released. So for what you guys are doing and showing absolutely every single one, for somebody like me, it's fantastic.
Well,
You guys are in the background when I'm painting. It's like, I felt like I knew you before I even came on here today. It was really weird because you've been in my living room all the way through lockdown.
How many times a week do you hum to yourself? Look at my Star Trek toys.
I know.
I'm so sorry to everyone. Well, thank you for that. This has been, just fun, right? This is just a fun little way for us to play, because there's only so many times you can show your cat your action figures. I had to make Mike look at it, and
I'm only one step above cat, so
no, that's true. But for us, our creativity is like how do we continue developing the technology here to do the stuff that we do, and it's really fun. All right, so we need to let you move on forward with your life, but one more time, Chris, I want another figure of me. How do I get it?
Yeah, just type in Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, just CRM Customs, and you should find me, or Star Trek Customs, depending.
We're going to link it all here below in the comments. So thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you so much for doing these figures of us. Like it's
no problem.
I say this with no hint of irony whatsoever. This is a cherished possession I will keep for the rest of my life. And
Keith apparently is keeping mine as well, because I've seen him twice and he forgets to give it to me.
You live in a different city, okay? I've only seen you in person like twice since the end days. So
this just in, the mail is still a thing. Mail is still a thing.
I don't trust the mail. Not with this.
I know they can crack dead easy. That's the only thing. But yours was made in the rigid resin, so hopefully it'll be okay.
Oh yeah, rigid as hell. That's my catchphrase.
Ew, gross. Well, what a great note to end on, folks. So if you enjoyed this nonsense, give us a like, give us a subscribe. It really helps other people find our show. You can also check out our Patreon at patreon.com/KNM. All sorts of fun stuff there for you. This has been a very special and super fun episode. We will be posting lots of pictures of all of this on our Instagram. You can find at Star Trek Toys. Check out our other shows. We have our Deep Space Nine review watch along. Keith and Mike watch Deep Space Nine here on this feed, and our show about the practice, and lots of other nonsense coming. Chris Mitchell, thank you so much for talking with us, showing all of this. We really appreciate it. So
let's
folks,
do it together, folks.
Let's all do it together. Here we go. There we go. Till then, this has been Look at My Star Trek Toys!